This is Lemon's Car Spotting. You post to Instagram with the hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting. We pick the hooptiest.
They are so incredibly terrible.
And which one we want to become a real Lemons build.
It does car-like things. I've been pushing for one of those in Lemons too, and those are very affordable.
And welcome to Lemon's Car Spotting. As you can see here, I am Eric. That is Mental. There he is. Yeah. It's always hard to figure out. It's reversed. Anyway, neither here nor there. You spot your crappy cars on the street. Not necessarily yours, but, you know, I'm over-explaining things. And you tag it, hashtag Lemon's Car Spotting on Instagram, and we will talk about the crappy cars that you spot. And each week we pick out the car that we most want to see built in Lemons, and the car of the 10 that is the hooptiest. And Mental will decide through our patented picking method which of those is his, starting now.
And stop.
3 for 3 he is on picking the car to be built for Lemons. I will pick the one that is the hooptiest, and without further ado, let us get started. And
boy, they'll be praised.
Yeah, there we go. Z34 Chevy Lumina. This is, man, I'm not really sure why this car exists, but it was...
Well, they needed to bridge the gap from the Eurosport
right
to the limited edition Monte Carlos. So playing on all that great not Z28, but what was it was also the Cavalier just stopped. So they had to have...
was the Cavalier, Z26 was the Beretta, Z28 was the Camaro. There was no Z30, Z31 sounds like it was a thing, but I don't know what it was. And Z34, obviously this.
Yeah. Well, and if there's anything about General Motors branding and marketing, is that it is long-term and consistent. So,
yeah. So what do you need to know about these things? So this was the same GM 60-degree V6 they put in everything, 2.8, 3.1, 3.4, but they put a dual overhead cam setup on it, so it was making 200 horsepower. It was like the most complicated thing that they had built in-house. There was the twin overhead cam Corvette that was mostly Callaway built, I think. This was done in-house, so it is like the ultimate of the GM sound of power with the actual power. So I mean,
and what do you do with all that power? You put it in a Piggly softly sprung front wheel drive chassis.
Yeah, absolutely. And this particular owner has only, it looks like, half of the correct wheel set with it. I can't tell if that's a space saver or just a Steely on the back.
I think it is a spare because it is slightly smaller. Which we try not to be judgmental at pun intended at Lemons here, but I'm going to go with somewhere at a local check cashing establishment. He's got an account and he's just waiting for that paycheck to clear to put that new tire back on the back.
That could be, yeah. I mean, the wheels look clean. Actually, the car itself looks pretty spotless.
It's Eastern Washington, where cars go to never die.
Apparently, yeah. We are learning this from Eastern Washington Car Spotting, who I think has probably been on every episode of this for 6 months at this point. But yeah, spectacular thing.
Yeah.
A car we've never seen.
Yeah, when you guys do the next Pacific Northwest rally, there it should be like an extra point for every Lemons Car Spotting worthy ride that they see.
Oh man, well, nobody wants to get that scoring. Moving on. Oh boy, when was the last time you saw an 80s Mazda like this?
This is really nice, actually. And you and I get too wrapped up in the details on this, but if you look, even though they're parked in a conventional parking spot, not a door ding down the side of it, because you can see that taco perfectly reflected in that side panel.
Yeah, good call.
This is wow. Yeah, it's not clean because they don't wash it, but it is not dented. Yes, the 2-liter 626. This is the James Garner era of Mazda advertising, when they had Jimmy Gardner doing their commercials.
I was about to say, growing up in the rural Midwest, this was just a car I never saw. This didn't exist where I was. If you were going to buy a 626, the same buyer outside of, being within a 500-mile concentric ring around Detroit, you were buying a 4-door Escort or a Tempo. I guess a Tempo is probably more the competitor with this. People just didn't buy Mazda 626s where I grew up, which makes it all the more remarkable that this one has been driven to the grocery store and church and probably nowhere else for 35 years.
This one's in California, and that was the era when Mazda dealers, if they saw you pull up in a Ford Tempo, they went, "Oh yeah, let's make a sale, Bobby. All I got to do is get them to drive it."
Yeah, for sure.
They were actually really good cars, especially for the era.
Yeah, Mazda always seemed to play like third fiddle to Honda and Toyota, but they always seemed to be okay with that.
And this, you could get this with a 5-speed, and there was the picture of I still remember the commercial. James Garner, in this, he goes, "I love when I come up on one of those European cars, and it was a debadged E30," and he goes, "And then they just blow his doors off because you could also get this one with a turbo."
Yeah. The 2-door version of this was the MX-6, which was also the Ford Probe at the time. So there you go. Moving on. Boy.
Oh man.
This is an Omni 024, I think.
Yeah, the Dodge
or the Horizon
Charger. This is the Plymouth Duster, the Horizon, but it was the 2-door swoopy coupe version. Again, so stunningly dent-free. Now, it's doing that Detroit clear coat thing that they love to do from the 90s, but man, or 80s even. Yeah. And what's going on with that front headlight? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the front headlight matches the fact that the entire nose is an inch off the rest of the body line, but that's fine. I mean, that
was factory. That was how it came. I feel like especially coming from Eastern Washington, the front light kind of half closed eye and the flat tire probably matches the natural state of the car's owner. Hey man, did I get it right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't appear that it's gone anywhere in a minute with the flat tire. These things are so weird. It was basically a dressed up 2-door Horizon, so the little hatchback thing, but then they made it a 2-door, and it's probably the same wheelbase. Somebody in the comments can let me know, some expert on the Omni Horizon. And then they made this weird rake on the back, like they were just like, we don't need this much of the roof. So in the classic GM folding paper style of
make it look like a sports car.
Yeah, if we make it an angle, it's more sporty. We learned this from General Motors, so they did that, and it's still like the same crappy. Either these might have been sold with the Volkswagen 1.7, or it might have been a later one.
I want to say they're the 2.2s because they used to advertise that on the side of the car. 2.2, yeah.
Yeah, this says something on the fender, but I think it just says Horizon or something.
I believe that does say.
Oh, Duster. Yeah, because the Duster, like all great cars from this era, was just stickers. Trim. There's really nothing to it, which again, of course, brings us to the famous 1980s MTV Awards commercial of the Duster cocaine factory. So if you look up Plymouth Duster on YouTube, you will find this commercial inevitably, fueled by many drugs. So check that one out. Still, Lemon's theme we haven't seen done is the My Duster. So it's out there waiting.
There we go.
Somebody. Oh baby, is that a Colt Vista?
I think so. Or this is it's the Colt Vista, but they're calling it the LPV because it only has the sliding door on one side.
Oh, it's the Mitsubishi version. That's why.
Oh,
there you go. Well, that's what's great about this is the Mitsubishi Expo, which I've seen recently in a junkyard of all things. They're still out there and are great Lemons cars, but this is a twofer with the Lexus SC430 parked in front of it. And there's a part of me that hopes that this is a home with these two cars as their chosen means of transportation.
And I feel like that's not that far off, because if I'm not mistaken, that's some sort of pop-up camper trailer thing we're seeing a slice of in that driveway. So this is an eclectic individual.
Well, that begs the question, which of these vehicles is pulling the camper?
Well, it's got to be the Lexus, because there's no trailer hitch on the Mitzi.
Yeah. You know, I would almost respect somebody for pulling a trailer with the SC430. It's got a great motor and is one of the most horrendous looking vehicles ever built. So,
and that's the retractable hardtop convertible.
Yeah. Jeremy Clarkson famously dumped all over that car, and he did so correctly. So very well done. The Expo, another car we haven't seen in Lemons. So that one's out there waiting for you, especially with this two-tone. And you can swap a 4G63 turbo into it, and then you have a real machine on your hands.
You do. And you know what? Bring us a 4G63 turbo and watch us not give you any penalty laps and laugh at you when you're broken by lunch.
Correct. Moving on. Ooh.
Why?
This is your spot.
Why? I know this one. Yes, this is. This was a... It was funny is the way the sun was. I had to get this angle of the car. The other side of the car was spotless and gorgeous. This one's got that typical early 80s. We used the two-door hinges, door sag going on.
Yep.
But it had the push, like the buttoned crushed velour, all electric interior. And as I snapped this picture, the owner walked up. It was walking up behind me, looking at me strange with her small shopping bag full of menthols, and wanted to know what the hell I was doing taking a picture of her car. But yeah, so this one, I'm guessing she bought it new, and she was still a secretary working for Mr. Dawson, who she should have married, but she slept with him on the first date, and it just went downhill after that.
Well, I mean, at least we haven't done anything to further the embarrassment of her or strangeness, like talking about it on the internet. Sorry, owner of this very hard-lived Monte Carlo.
Grand Prix.
Grand Prix. I'm sorry. How dare I? This is a G body. I can't tell them apart. They all look the same.
Yeah, on purpose.
On purpose, yeah. Ooh, now we're talking.
Yes.
It's a long wheelbase Jaguar.
Jag. Oh, that's the proper. My very first Lemons race was in 2007, and there was one of those added, and it actually drove the entire thing. And this is, of course, the Altamont days. And we've seen them done. We've seen them done well. We've seen them done poorly, and we're not sick of them because it's just such a pretty car. I wish it ran.
Yeah. The interesting thing about these is all the problems with this car are its Jaguarness. The constituent parts are great independently, but the way that Jaguar decided to put them into a vehicle are problematic. Inboard brakes, overly complicated fuel system with dual fuel fillers. Why would you do that? But the motor in these things, the Jaguar inline six, if this is a 6-cylinder, fantastic. There's a reason they used it for 30 years or whatever.
And you mentioned Clarkson when he drove the Eagle Roadster, the $500,000, $750,000, XKE Tribute. It uses a derivative of that engine. Yeah, because it sounds right when it's running right. It is so good.
Yeah. Going back to the XK120, it's the same motor basically. So maybe this is a V12. I don't know. That adds a whole other layer of problems. The upside being that the V12 sounds so good. So what are you gonna do? Moving on. Oh, geez.
Wow.
That is a working
how do you
machine.
Take a non-hoopty car and make it Lemons car spotting worthy? You put a small shed on the roof of it. That is wow.
So this is like a 2000 Accord, I think, or Civic. I think it's an Accord being used as a work truck, and that's just fantastic.
There's so much. There's like just giant sheets of metal on that, and then you've got it all strapped down. And of course, this is when you want your car at its lowest is winter in Illinois.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a performance decision. Everybody knows that a car is at its best when it's riding on the bump stops, and every expansion joint in the highway in Illinois is sending reverberation straight up your spinal cord into the base of your neck and fracturing your vertebrae up here as it should be. So this is
and the most secure part of any car in the Midwest is that upper fender well. So that's where you always want to hook your ratchet straps.
Correct. Yeah. There's no way that's pulling out. There's no way the struts are just shooting straight through the sheet metal out in the trunk or. I would bet if you looked at this thing closely, there is a dent on the underside of the hood poking out from the front struts trying to escape. That's spectacular.
Yeah. Oh, that is wonderful.
All right, moving along. Boy, that's... Oh, yes. Look at the TC by Maserati. Now, not a LeBaron, of course, as any TC owner will tell you.
Yeah. Now, we famously had that one that showed up in the Northeast rally, and they got it into a Maserati showroom.
Yep. Which
says a lot for that Maserati dealer. But have we had one of these actually on the track?
We have.
It was so impressive. That's how well I remember it. Okay.
Yeah, so it was at Gingerman, and if you've watched, in fact, if you haven't, when we're done with this, you should go watch the Turbo Mopar Lemon's World episode. There was a team run by, of course, Turbo Mopar guys who had found this TC by Maserati without an engine, or maybe they had it, as we discussed. Turbo Mopar people just have things.
Turbo Mopar sitting around, exactly. Yeah.
And so, they show up with a turbo motor for it. And this is the good one. They built it to last. And I said, okay, you come talk to me at the end of Saturday when it's not running. And, we'll see if it's the good one. And they did not think that was funny at all. They did not understand why I poo-pooed them. And it ran 9 laps before it just fizzled down. It melted into a puddle of metal. So I don't know what to tell you. Don't put a turbo motor into one of these. Just put a stock 2.2 in it and try to limp it around.
Exactly.
The beautiful thing about these was that they claimed Maserati tuned the engine, and boy, I don't know how that makes it any better. It just
yeah, and I'm relatively certain that was a Mitsubishi derivative too.
Well, they did a turbo engine, they did a turbo 4, and then when they realized that those were awful, they did the V6, the Mitsubishi V6 that was also tuned. So a Mitsubishi V6 badged as a Chrysler and tuned by Maserati. What could possibly go wrong? Moving on. Got to move on. Got to move on quickly.
There we go. Now, this is impressive because this is an old school Oldsmobile Delta 88 not owned by Sam Ramey.
Yeah. A famous collector thereof. I miss cars like this. I miss seeing cars like this everywhere. Man, that was my childhood, was these things street parked all over the place.
And this is your backyard, man. This is impressive. And this is something that does not it's got Kansas plates on it, so I'm guessing they're visiting.
No, those are the Illinois vintage plates or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. But this car has to live in a garage because the fenders are intact.
Yeah, the fenders are intact. The rocker panels are mostly intact. It looks like there might be a little rust at the corners. But it's clean. It's on original everything. Yeah, that thing's sweet.
Yeah. Wow. The bumper's not rusted at all. Yeah. No, this is a. Yeah. You want to get mad props on any Midwest rally. Show up in something like this. Oof.
Yeah, this is totally perfect for the Rust Belt Ramble. This looks like late 70s, so it's probably got the horrible Olds 350 in it, which is not the greatest motor GM ever made.
No, but easily made. Everything fits in there, and you could drop literally anything in there and have room.
Yeah, you could put a jet engine in there probably. All right, let's go to the very last one here. And what? Oh man.
Wow. Oh man. So this is a whole new level of just East Oregon hippie impressiveness. This, the if I'm not interested in the car, but if this car showed up, you can't clean it. It has to show up like this.
I would say you could just paint numbers on it, but I don't think paint will actually stick to whatever is on this thing.
No, I feel like hedge trimmers. You could make plant numbers on the side. This is wow. This is not returning to the earth. The earth is attacking.
Yes,
Chrysler,
it is being swallowed up like some kind of horror movie. Which, I mean, it's a Sebring, so it's its own horror movie in and of itself. What this looks like to me is if you've ever been around like cliffs at the base of the ocean, it just looks like it is completely encrusted with barnacles and the moss that grows therein. It's pretty spectacular.
Really, because like their driveway, I mean, everything about this. Yes. This person has a set of Portuguese singing bowls, and they own an extensive collection of crystals.
Yeah, boy, this is. Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. This is a hell of a scene. So it must be near a body of water for there to be this much moss. What do they say? Moss grows on the north. The side of trees closest to water.
Okay.
I don't know what that means for this. It all kind of it must be underwater itself entirely. The only logical conclusion to draw from that.
Well, it's Oregon, so it just rains everywhere. That's why the driveway is facing the body of water, which is the sky.
There you go. Well, I think that's our 10, so we should go right to the awards. And I'll start, as we do, with the Hooptiest. Some good choices here. Obviously, this is, a top-tier level of Hoopty, but it's almost kind of the condition you expect a 96 Sebring to be in. So it's not the Hooptiest. The Duster is almost too nice to be considered hoopty. I gotta say, it has to be this fine Honda Accord, which is a completely serviceable, reasonable 20-year-old car to be driving around, and is being turned into the somehow worst car of all time in terms of being able to drive it like a car. So, very well done, owner of this thing.
You've taken a perfectly normal, reliable, car that would have lasted you decades and like fast tracked it to Hooptyville. Well done.
Well done. Good spotting, Eddie Hart. That's excellent. So Mental, you're on the spot for the Lemons bill.
And this is hard to pick out because there's some great stuff in there. I don't want to see that Sebring convertible because I would have to touch it. And I feel like it would be that Stephen King creep show where suddenly I'm covered in fungus and everything and I'm not doing that. I'm going to actually every one of these cars that was showed on here, we would not give a second glance for $500 my ass. But I'm going to go to that Z34 because I don't think a Lumina has properly been done in Lemons. It's been done, but I don't think it's been done well. And there's a lot of potential in that one. You could just totally, show up with popped collars and white linen coats and absolutely team hash the crap out of this. And And as you mentioned, proper, not just sound of power, but almost some power.
Yeah, I mean, going to the front wheels through an automatic transmission, as all good power does. Yeah, as you say, the squared off Lumina, if it's been done, it hasn't been done in a long time in Lemons. It's never been done properly. And this is obviously the one you want to have if you're going to bring a Lumina to Lemons. I mean, it has the door pull is on the B pillar. I mean, what more could you ever want?
And that will never break.
No,
ever.
Impossible.
Now, last year you challenged a team to get one of the successor to this, Monte Carlos, and they upped and did. And we are eagerly looking forward to seeing that one. And yes, I would love to see a proper, Lumina Eurosport Z34. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this one just out of the gate, Class C.
Yeah, 100%. There you go. It's going to do it for Lemons Car Spotting. We'll be back next Thursday. Be sure to tag your crap, Lemons Car Spotting, and we will talk about it. Dang.
Yeah, that's cool.